Hello and welcome to another Dental Practice Success webinar series. My name is Alexei. I am the founder of Practice Results. This is one of the few businesses I run. We specialize in helping practices grow through digital marketing and various digital tools as well. So today's presentation is about HighLevel, enhancing marketing with HighLevel automation. Now, whether you're using HighLevel or whether you're wanting to do something else, hopefully you'll come across a few things today that may help you sort of identify a few potential gaps within your marketing and see how potentially automations can help you bridge those gaps as well. So let's get started. I'm recording this presentation just to make sure that if anyone has not been able to attend, basically gets a chance to watch it. Anyway, my name is Alexei. I'm a father of three. I've got twin boys, Nick and Leon, and a baby girl, Vera. I run Practice Results as a part of another agency called Your Easy Web Solutions. And we are a results agency. We specialize in helping businesses grow by generating results, which is done without any contracts. So that's our biggest point of difference. I'm an entrepreneur. I run a couple of other businesses as well in various fields. And for me, it's all about business growth. That's what I love doing. I'm also an author. I'm working on my second book at the moment, and I run a podcast as well. I love to challenge myself. This is a photo of me hiking. I started doing a fair bit of hiking over COVID, because I think it's one of those things that really helps you connect with people and nature. And overall, walking for a while does get you thinking in the right direction. I also do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I am a purple belt, and I'm quite an avid fisherman as well. And this is my family, my wife, Christina, my boys, and my baby girl, Vera there. So anyway, I guess for me, it's about learning. It's about learning and sharing and inspiring and motivating business owners, because I know it can be a little bit difficult sometimes, and a lot of business owners get stuck. Overall, I focus on creating a positive change for businesses. And, there's a photo of my podcast in case you're obviously wanting to learn more about sales and marketing, or basically looking for some inspiration or wanting to create a positive change. Make sure you Google me up. There may be a few ideas that you may pick up from there. The latest episode I've done is actually on YouTube marketing. So if that's something you're interested in, you may want to check that out. Anyway, so let's get back to Practice Results and this presentation. So these are some of the businesses that we work with. We predominantly work with dental practices. However, we do have a couple of medical specialists that we work with, and a few niche related businesses as well. But overall, back in 2015, we've come across 1300 Smiles that has really taught us quite a lot about the dental industry. And as a result, we've really niched into that field and partnered with quite a number of different businesses and helping in terms of helping them grow through, creating better websites, creating better marketing, and overall educating them on better sales processes as well. So in terms of what we do things like web development, email marketing, pay-per-click, your Google ads and stuff. Search engine optimization, and we do specialize specifically in things like business, sales and marketing consulting, because I find a lot of the time people get that wrong, and as a result, everything else just doesn't work. I mean, I think it's really important to get your foundation right before you start marketing. And look, we could probably zoom into any of these particular fields. And for that reason, we have been running a bit of a webinar series. So if you look on our YouTube page, you will find recordings from past year on a bunch of different topics. But look, overall, we're a Google Premier Partner, which allows us to be in the top 5% of Google companies in Australia. We do specialize specifically in delivering results according to the guidelines that Google sets. We do partner with Meta and a few other tools as well, like ActiveCampaign, in order to deliver the right solutions in line with the guidelines that these companies have set in order to basically get the right results. So today's agenda is really more about HighLevel. Now, HighLevel is a fairly new tool. It's been around for probably about just under 3 years. I think it's got a lot to offer for dental practices specifically, and I know there are quite a few consultants who are pushing that quite heavily. Now, there's a bit of a reason behind it. The whole HighLevel is really quite a different business model compared to your HubSpot or any other type of CRM that you may come across, because it's actually driven by an agency. So typically there's an agency behind HighLevel, and the agency itself is quite invested in delivering the results in order to basically stay on track with things as well. But besides HighLevel, I obviously want to allude to a few things like landing pages today. I want to talk about the content management system and the CRM components of HighLevel. Talk about automations and more specifically things like patient reactivation, as well as reputation management and social media management. I know it sounds like a lot, but really today's objective is to really tap into HighLevel as a system that does provide a lot of these different things. And then from there to be able to focus, I guess, in terms of having a conversation with you specifically about how you may be utilizing these things specifically for your practice. Now, obviously, lots has changed over the last 4 years in terms of digital marketing, in terms of the dental space. And I think the entire world has changed quite a lot since COVID started. And this is where things like automations and things that actually allow you to work smarter as opposed to harder have really started to kick in and became more apparent. So let's talk about HighLevel. There is a website called gohighlevel.com that you may go to, and it's specifically oriented towards agencies. So it's an all-in-one platform, which means that it offers a bunch of different tools like contact management or lead nurturing, cross-channel marketing, reputation management. There's a ton of different bells and whistles to this system. But at the end of the day, it is designed specifically to make your life easier and minimize the number of different tools and channels that you use by bringing everything to the one spot. So this is the system that actually allows you to have your Google Ads campaigns and social media campaigns all consolidated. It's the one system that allows you to have all your conversation with the clients via email and SMS and everything else. You can even use tools like WhatsApp. And at the end of the day, this is the one system that solves the problem of managing contacts in an efficient way in order to actually turn them into better customers. Now, the question that comes up with a lot of practices specifically as well, that's what my practice management software is supposed to do. However, practice management works really well once you actually have that patient in the system. But before the patient comes to the practice management software, becomes your customer, there's actually quite a bit of a gap there. And I find that a lot of practices do focus on getting new patients every single time, and they forget that they've actually got a massive database of people inquiring that actually haven't gone over the line. So that's exactly where HighLevel comes in. So why should you use HighLevel? Like I said, it is that layer between your marketing and your practice where you can really squeeze a lot more out of the opportunities that are coming through. You're obviously able to consolidate a lot of things as well. You're able to do your social media management. You're able to do things like email marketing out of the whole thing. And overall, it's just about increasing the efficiency. If you're using a team of receptionists or salespeople, in case you're obviously selling high ticket items like, let's say, All-on-4 or orthodontics or something like that, this system does allow you to keep your team accountable by the actual system of opportunities within HighLevel. So it's basically one of those boards where you can actually drag opportunities from one stage to another, and you can customize those pipelines anyway. So if you're familiar with the idea of opportunities and pipelines, that's a part of the HighLevel system right there. What I particularly like is the automation of the process. If you do things over and over, HighLevel has got the tools in order to automate them. So send people an email, send them a follow-up SMS, make a social media post, send out an email blast. All that stuff can actually be created in there and triggered based on things like timers or events, or potentially the journey of the customer as well. If a person comes through to a certain point, they will be receiving some sort of content based around that as well. And another really cool thing there is this, there's this feature called snapshots in there. Now, the snapshots is the part that allows you to preload a whole business template, if you like, specifically into your HighLevel account. So if you load that up, you're going to have a lot of the reputation management already set up for you, a lot of templates for email marketing, a lot of landing pages and the likes as well. It is actually really quite cool, and it saves a ton of time as well. Now, if you're going to look through all the bells and whistles of HighLevel so that you have an idea, obviously you got tools like email marketing, SMS marketing, you got your funnels, you got your call tracking, you've got things like reputation management, social media posters, appointment booking, you name it. It's got a ton of different things. And oftentimes people sort of look at HighLevel from a perspective of using various individual products and how they basically add up, and how HighLevel replaces the whole thing as well. So it is really quite cost effective. From the perspective of trialing the system, here is a 30-day trial link for you in case you want to check it out. I do recommend that you check out the full model just to basically give it a good run. And this system also comes with apps for Android and Apple as well, which allows you to communicate with your customers via your phone as well. So really, really super powerful. And if you're using, tools like Hootsuite for your social media posting or MailChimp or whatnot, this can actually bring everything to the one system without you having to log into many different things as well. What I also like about it is you can actually have your receptionist attend inquiries coming from Facebook, from Google, from your email, from your SMS, all in the one spot, which makes it super, super powerful. So we'll talk about the features a little bit more specifically later in this presentation, but I just wanted to educate you about this particular system in terms of what it actually offers and potentially touch on some of the functionality that you may not be familiar with, because whether you're going to be using HighLevel or another system, you may find that just knowing about what's possible will actually allow you to tap into a potential problem and find a solution. So in terms of top picks from HighLevel, I find things like SMS follow-ups are super powerful. So imagine this: someone actually sends an email to you or something, or let's say they send you a message on Facebook, for example. You can actually do an SMS follow-up, which actually makes it super powerful, where you can take people from one platform into their phone, which typically people reply quite instantly, and actually have a proper conversation with them. In fact, you can actually use AI automation in order to qualify people up to a certain point to see if they're interested in your services, or basically if they're able to do something like, show up for a particular appointment or not. There is a feature for chatbots as well. You've got your, classic chatbot on the website that you can actually train with conditional logic, and you could also do, chat GPT training as well. And this is super powerful, where you can have a chat GPT trained bot answer inquiries up to a certain degree. Now, I don't recommend turning these bots into a sales tool by any means, but I do recommend potentially understanding how you can qualify people. If someone's sending you a message about, hey, I'd like to book an appointment, what's your query about? When did you want to do that? Or if somebody basically says, hey, I want a price on this, try to change that conversation around by extracting as much information as possible before booking them in. So there's a lot of different things that you can do, but I find that it's essentially chatbots or automation within HighLevel can be an extension to your team in terms of your reception and making lives a lot easier for them as well. You've got your CRM lead tracking. You can see exactly where leads come from and how you basically nurture those leads along the way as well. And then the social media side of things is super, super powerful. I love this tool. You can basically plug in all of your accounts, and then you could reply back to people based on the inquiries, as well as people leaving reviews as well. So if someone does leave you a review, you can get back to them using the system too. So before we jump into anything, let's talk about landing pages. Now, I wanted to include landing pages as a part of this presentation purely because the whole concept is often missed. And now you'll be using landing pages to get a higher conversion rate, because I see probably 80% of people advertising in Google, predominantly through Google Ads, using their websites. Now, if you're going to use your website, your conversion rate is likely to be 3 to 5%. Now, what that means is that you're burning a lot of dollars to get people to come to your website and inquire. If you are to use a conversion optimized landing page, your conversion rates typically are above 10%. Now, there's a bit of a formula that you can use, but overall, the idea is you want a simple page, you want very little or no navigation, and you want to focus on a particular offer. So, for example, if you're a general dentist, pushing for checkup and clean offer potentially could be a really good way to go. If you're an orthodontist, or basically specialize in, let's say, things like veneers, you could potentially do things like, digital smile design or type of offers, and really focus around what that actually means for the customer and how they book through it. Now, at the end of the day, it's just about efficiency. Now, if you use landing pages, and then if you plug in all the automations from HighLevel, you're going to get a pretty awesome return on investment. And, we've seen many different accounts, double the number of opportunities they actually get as a result of using that. Because look, the biggest issue is you spend the dollars on Google Ads, people make the inquiry, and then from there people book, but some of them don't show up. So you really need to massage that funnel all the way with the automations that you have. Google can only get you the clicks and people inquiring, but from there you're really at the mercy of either your automations or receptionists or whatever you've got in place. And oftentimes the system may not be working as well as you like based on the type of inquiries that people are making. Because it's one thing when someone is inquiring about booking an appointment for a checkup and clean, and it's another if someone's wanting to do things like all on four, for example, because that is much more complicated. It's a much pricier product, and a lot of the time it's really all about how much does this cost. And if you're just going to give someone a price, you lose them. That's it. So you really need a process, and then you need to automate that process as well. Now, if we talk about landing pages and home pages in a little bit, more detail, you'll typically find that the purpose of the homepage is to have, all visitors, view everything. So they're basically able to navigate through the website. There's multiple options available to them. And, there's multiple call to actions as well. Someone may be calling you, someone may be booking online, making an inquiry. And overall, your content is quite informational. It's quite generic. Now, where a landing page, I'm sure you've seen those, you're really just focusing at the one goal, typically a form submission, because you can really do a lot more tracking around a form. And you really want to make sure that the navigation is minimal or basically is wrapped around that journey as well. So you may have seen some of the landing pages have a navigation that actually clicks to the sections of the website. And in terms of call to action, you really want to make sure there's one offer. You're not confusing them with many different things, and you're focusing all your content around that as well, whether it's case studies or whether it's any relevant information like the doctor, the procedures, and so on, is actually focusing on that. Now, a bit of a tip here for you: if you're using forms, having multiple questions asked actually does allow you to qualify contacts further. So if you're obviously doing things like implants or anything that's high ticket, if you ask people, specific items, is this for yourself? Is this for your child? And so on. If you're, let's say, doing orthodontics, for example, you're then able to create automations based on that input as well. If you're just going to run with a generic name, email, phone number type form, you're potentially, missing out on potential functionality or features that could actually help you with your sales process as well. Because at the end of the day, it's about making sure that that lead comes through and it gets qualified by your landing page, and then gets delivered and answered at the right time as well. And that's exactly where tools like HighLevel come in. So here is an example of a landing page. This is one of our clients called Central Dentist in Galpa. Really what you want is to minimize the number of inquiries for things like, hey, where are you guys located? Do you do this or do you do that? So we want to make sure that we add all the key information in order to have a deeper conversation and better inquiries from the public being able to find us. So in this particular case, we are offering specifically on booking an appointment, and we want to position ourselves as affordable dentist. We've got another landing page that we run for them about the checkup and clean, and then from there we also have got the Google and Facebook reviews floating on the sides. That's as the actual part of the website, and if someone clicks that, actually loads up those specific reviews in Google and Facebook. So this landing page converts quite well. And overall, if you visit the website, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to sort of scroll through and find all the other elements. But I just wanted to include that to give you some idea. So it's super specific to a dentist in a particular area. And that's all this landing page specifically does, because people are searching for, dentist in Galpa, and that's the main keyword specifically for this landing page. Hopefully that gives you some idea. Now, if we're talking about HighLevel, the whole idea here is really to make sure that we get higher conversion rates. And one of the big things is timing. If we run campaigns, we typically find that a lot of the time you get inquiries outside of the hours. Now, if you're going to get back to these people the following day, you are potentially missing out, or these people may have already found someone or have changed their mind about things. And this comes into play, especially when people are thinking about high ticket items or doing a lot of research. So, for example, with things like implants, for example, or anything that's a high ticket item where people are like, hey, do I go overseas to get this done? Do I get it done locally? And unless you engage these people early on, you're really missing out. So social media is great for that, because a lot of people will engage with your advertising. But oftentimes you may receive an inquiry, and if you get back to it too late, well, you just won't hear a reply. I'm sure you had that problem with social media. But at the end of the day, it's just really about the timing. If you're able to facilitate a reply to that person within, let's say, 5 minutes, then typically you can actually get them in a conversation. Now, you may ask, I don't have the time to do this, at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. Well, you can actually use automations within HighLevel to maintain a conversation to a degree in order to qualify people and get information from them, like Okay, have you had a checkup with somebody else? Are you looking for a payment plan? Are you, what is it that you're after specifically, and try to understand the motivation behind the query. And this time, you can actually finish the whole automation by booking them with your receptionist the following morning. Say, hey, at the moment, we're unable to jump on the phone, but could we maybe book something tomorrow morning? And a lot of the time people tell you, hey, I can have a chat around 10 a.m. or something like that. And you can actually facilitate that much, much easier. I also find that things like chatbots can really work quite well by adding tools like this one. Hi there, have a question, text us here. If you press that, you can actually do multiple things with this. So first of all, you can receive that inquiry into your HighLevel and then respond back via SMS, because one of the things is the user needs to add a phone number in order to be able to start the conversation. Now, if you take a conversation off to the mobile phone, that really creates something quite new. Your phones at the moment are probably the most monitored devices. People really do pay attention as to what comes through their mobile phones. And you can actually maintain a conversation via SMS once the conversation started on social media or on the website or through one of these chatbots. And I think that's really, really cool. We like to call this as taking conversation offline, because at the end of the day, what you want to do is make sure that the person is replying, they're paying attention, and then that conversation brings us to a certain milestone or a certain point. So I think if you use a landing page, which naturally increases your conversion process, and then you use HighLevel in order to take the conversation into a mobile phone and bring it to a certain point, that works really, really well. Because especially when it comes to higher ticket items with bigger decisions, people spend a lot of time, researching. They spend a lot of time trying to understand the process better and educate themselves about what's actually involved and how much something costs. Now, you don't want to be sending someone prices every single time. You really need to make sure you get everything you need before you give them the price. And really, from a sales perspective, I think you need to get that person in front of you in order to make sure that you're giving them the right advice and the right price around that as well. Because if you're going to do it otherwise, I really think you're not doing them any favors. So CRM, let's talk about the CRM, which stands for Customer Relationship Management. Now, this is a part of HighLevel. In fact, this is one of the core parts. And look, you've got HubSpots, you've got a bunch of other systems. It's really more about managing your contacts. And look, practice management software does a lot of different things in relation to patients. Now, we're talking about people who are becoming your customers. And frankly, I find that sometimes practice management software is a little bit one-sided. It's all about maintaining your database and then sending out those automations. And look, there's a ton of different things. But what I like about HighLevel, it actually integrates with a lot of systems like Dentix and a bunch of other practice management systems, where it can actually help you with this communication channel. You could do cross-channel across email marketing, social media, SMS, you name it. I find the key to the whole thing is really more about tagging. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you tag a person as they come through, as to where they come from, what their problem is, and potentially what these people are interested in. And this way you end up with sets of different lists where you could approach people based on their specifics. So you may have regular customers, you may have once-off customers, you may have customers that have referred someone. And at the end of the day, it's just really making sure that you understand your tagging and you're able to apply that efficiently. Now, another thing that really helps quite a lot is the history of communication, because a lot of the time you sort of rely on talking to somebody, but you've got no idea where they've come from and what their preferred way to communicate would be. And I'm finding that SMS is one of those things that works for people more and more. People just like the flexibility of being able to reply when they're busy and potentially do it in their own timing as well. The opportunity management side of things is key. Because you're able to get people coming through in the pipeline. And look, I've got a slide on that next, just to show you what that looks like. And you can also customize your own pipeline. You can figure out exactly which steps work for you and how you basically take people through those steps. Now, based on each one of the stages of the pipeline, you're obviously able to do things like automation. So if you change the stage of something, you're able to apply an automation. So for example, if you can't reach someone, and let me just show you this. So this is the CRM opportunities pipeline. So someone comes in as a lead. The next step there would be you can't reach those people, which is quite a common scenario. then if someone's actually looking for a quote or considering something and then they booked. So these are the steps before someone actually becomes a customer. Now, this is specifically for a business that specializes in dental implants. And then from there, we're able to obviously track a bunch of different things as well. So you can customize this in many ways you want based on your steps. But what I like around this is every time you go from a lead to, can't answer, for example, you're able to focus on getting these people an SMS or an email based on that sort of thing. Because a lot of the time what happens is the follow-up that doesn't occur. So for example, lead comes through, you try to give them a call, they don't pick up, and you move to another one. And then at the end of the day, it's really more about making sure you nurture that lead. So by sending them an SMS follow-up automatically saying, hey, we try to give you a call, when would be a convenient time, you could actually reignite that conversation. You can send people an email after a certain point once you spoke to them and saying, hey, we look forward to seeing you. I know you wanted some information. Here it is. Let us know when you're ready. That sort of stuff works out really, really well. Now, another really cool thing that specifically HighLevel does, it's got that HIPAA compliance, which is the Privacy Act in Australia. So it's all about database management. It's all about contact management. HighLevel has got that built into it as an additional module. So if you're worried about data privacy and compliance, this tool has got it all. So they've actually spent quite a lot of time implementing all these different features for various industries, and have specifically done a lot of work around the dental and medical side of things as well. Now, when it comes to contacts in HighLevel, that's what it looks like. So you got all your contacts, you can see their phone numbers, you can see when they sort of came through, you can see where they came through. So we use tags specifically for that. So it actually does give us a pretty good idea as to what's happening, and you can actually monitor this quite easily. You get amazing reports with the whole thing. And more specifically, there is a section for conversations, which I personally love, which gives you the idea to communicate with people via SMS, WhatsApp, and email. And you can actually see someone's actually coming through and making an inquiry, and then you can automatically get back to them based on the fact like, hey, we try to give you a call, can't get through, when's the best time to give you a call? And then the person comes back and say, hey, give me a call. So you can actually have these conversations maintained in there. And if you use the app, you can actually have all the prompts coming up in order to manage this too. Super powerful stuff. And besides, you get all the information of that person on the side. So if you're speaking to somebody, you can actually add extra notes in here as well. Really, really cool. Now, we've obviously looked at the opportunity side of things, but at the end of the day, what I like is the automations that go behind this. And look, if you've got any unique process that you follow, you can actually set that up as a pipeline, or you can have multiple pipelines based on the different services that you offer. So for example, let's say the orthodontics could have one pipeline versus the general dentistry that would have completely another. And you can also assign these to different users. Now, one of the really cool things of HighLevel compared to HubSpot or a bunch of other systems that they've got no limit on the users. So you're not being charged per user. It's usually a flat rate. And then you've got a budget that goes towards your SMS. Now, we'll talk about that separately, but basically, there is a system behind HighLevel called Twilio, which charges you per SMS. And it's quite affordable because they actually buy things in bulk. I think it's like 2 cents per SMS, and you can obviously set limits as much as you like. And then with things like WhatsApp, you pay a separate subscription per month, and then you're able to use that as well. Really depends on your business, but there's a bunch of different integrations that allow you to do all sorts of things. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk today about is the automation. So there's a ton of different stuff within HighLevel, but I guess what I like for, specifically for dentists is that there are preset recipes. Now, a recipe is an automation that's actually been pre-designed for you. So let's say you want to do an automatic follow-up based on, let's say, a social media inquiry from, let's say, Facebook. So you actually got a lot of these things set up for you, and all you got to do is apply them and basically follow through to customize it. Now, on the right is what something like that looks like. You've got something that comes in. You can set up a timer to, wait for a certain reply because you don't want to do things automatically. The idea is you're trying to make this as natural as possible. And then you can also set conditions like, hey, if someone's replied yes or no, you could basically either end the conversation or come back to them with another SMS or email or whatever you want. It's really quite simple in that way. And there's a bunch of different tools available. You can also do your custom automations. And look, let your imagination run wild if you like. But at the end of the day, it's just making sure that you can support your processes. Because at the end of the day, the goal is efficiency and making sure that you're not missing out on opportunities with regards to timing. The conditional logic is really good. And you could utilize also the AI conditional logic, which is actually able to understand whether someone's saying yes or no, even though they may say like, you know, affirmative or negative or whatever. Like people can say all sorts of things, and it's smart enough to actually understand that input. And when it comes to marketing, one thing that's really quite powerful is the whole cross-channel. So if someone starts a conversation on, let's say, Facebook, and then goes away, you can actually continue that conversation with them using live chat or SMS. So you can actually carry the conversation through multiple channels. And I think that's incredible because you can actually personalize things for a person. And this really catches the attention. I'm not sure if you've experienced this yourself, but if something addresses me by name and is able to sort of carry through with a conversation from another source after a period of time, I find that quite fascinating. It really grabs your attention and creates a good experience. By the way, if you got any questions through this presentation, you may as well want to use the chat function just to sort of hit me up with any messages. Otherwise, we're going to have a Q&A session in the end to make sure that you are able to ask any questions you want. I know we're going to cover quite a lot of things. And look, like I said, the idea is to provide you with general information and allude to some of the gaps within the marketing that you may be able to attend otherwise. But yeah, HighLevel in this particular instance has got a solution there for you. So let's talk about the practical use of this automations. The first thing that I like is obviously the SMS reply within 5 minutes. So if someone makes an inquiry through whichever channel, your website, your Instagram, your WhatsApp, whatever it is that you've got connected to HighLevel, you can actually do an automatic SMS reply. And what I typically recommend is getting that person a response in regard to the initial question and tailor the conversation specifically to bring them to a point saying, hey, when would be a good time to have a chat? And if they say, look, I want to chat right now, say, look, unfortunately, we're not available right now. Would 9 to 5 type of work for you? And most of the time people will say, hey, yeah, I can have a chat maybe around lunchtime. And then from there, you want to be able to automatically book that appointment within the system with your team. And you can actually do that. You can also have that contact as a part of opportunity as well. So those opportunities that you saw before, you can automatically add that contact to each opportunity and then deal with them based on email, SMS, and social. Now, the question I get asked a lot is, what's the better way to sort of approach things? Well, look, if you want an instant response from a user, SMS works really well. Email is one of those things that probably gets open about 30% of the time in best cases. So I find if you do a lot of email stuff, some things will fall through the cracks, but it really depends whether you are wanting something that the customer needs to get done straight away, or it's something that can actually wait. Social media is really good when it comes to initially engaging the customer. I find that sometimes if you engage with a person socially, not through an ad, for example, and you jump into SMS, people sort of freak out a little bit. So you do want to make sure you maintain that within a certain channel. So I have to really understand that customer journey and understand what it is specifically that you're trying to do and how that's actually going to help you or potentially go the other way in terms of getting them on board. Now, you could also do things like voice reminders. So you could actually set up automatic calling. So HighLevel has got this feature where you can plug in a phone number, and that phone number actually allows you to do call recording, allows you to do calls, allow you to do things like call rerouting and whatnot. And you can actually set up your voice reminders and actually get this system to call people based on, let's say, upcoming appointment or something else as well. It works really well for lead qualifying, like I said. And there's another tool which I suggest that you maybe check out, but proceed with care. And it's called Air AI. Now, this thing is huge in the US. This is essentially a sales assistant tool that basically can maintain a decent conversation for up to about 45 minutes. So I think this is something that's coming to Australia quite soon. At the moment, they're sort of figuring out a few aspects of it. And I'd say it's probably like 80% there. But at the moment, it's actually able to call people and start a conversation. And it does rely on a lot of training as well. So the key behind it is training, because obviously every business is different. But Air AI is one of those things you got to check out. And it does integrate with HighLevel quite well as well. Now, HighLevel is just one of those things that's really flexible. It's got so many integrations. It's not funny. Like it goes into Dentext, it goes into AI, ChatGPT, you name it. It's got so many things. It's just really a matter of understanding specifically what it is that you want to achieve. So let's talk about the automation of patient reactivation, because I find this is one of those things that a lot of people would like to do, but a lot of the time they either have no time or they just don't know how to do it. So we like to call this concept as lead recycling, because with any business, if someone makes an inquiry about your business, and specifically dentists or medical professionals, there's typically a need that drives that inquiry. You want to make sure that you are able to segment that contact list. So make sure you start with segmenting your current customers or repeat customers from people who just made a generic inquiry, or people who have basically engaged your business once or twice and then became idle, or people who have been lost, because you want to make sure you communicate with these people very differently. It's not the same recipe that you'd be applying to them. The good way to really get the attention of that audience would be to start with a text message. And look, if you're doing this for the first time, please make sure you start with a fairly small size of the actual database. I probably recommend maybe 100 contacts or so. And if you send out an email blast, you probably won't get the same response, but SMS really hits the spot. And then from there, you basically could run a campaign saying, hey, we've got a new doctor, for example, and you could send this out to, let's say, past patients and whatnot. Like, the whole idea is to really find, I guess, a really good point of contact and make sure you can use that to re-engage the person. You can start with a new service. Hey, we now do orthodontics, for example. And as a part of that, potentially here is a special offer of XYZ. Lost patients, like a lot of the time you don't know exactly why they've been lost, and you could potentially do a survey to understand exactly what happened there. Send them an SMS and get them to reply, yes or no. And then you can reinforce the whole process by sending up a follow-up email. And obviously having an urgency or promotion does get a faster response as well. So don't go with something quite generic and expect a result. It typically needs to have a bit of a timeline around it, or some sort of an urgency point in order for people to take action. So hopefully that makes sense. We find that a lot of businesses, not necessarily dentists, often make inquiries and they qualify themselves into things like, let's say, domestic cleaning. So someone making an inquiry is genuinely interested. And then from there, you could potentially try to understand that customer better and understand, why they've gone elsewhere, or basically why they're not getting you to do repeat services as well. So there's a lot of different triggers that can be put into place as well. So HighLevel is a generic tool, but it is specifically tailored for each industry, and that's where those snapshots really come in. Now, reputation management. Now, this is obviously a sensitive topic for anyone in the medical industry, but HighLevel has got a pretty cool module specifically for reputation management. And we want to make sure that you're not just addressing those Google reviews. You've got your reviews on Facebook, you've got your reviews on Trustpilot, product review, like wherever you are, you can actually use HighLevel to address those. Now, each platform obviously has got its pros and cons, and each industry is different. But we work with quite a few online stores, and I find that Trustpilot and product review are the big platforms that really need to be managed. And a lot of the time, it's just about getting a reply, because, like, fundamentally, people would leave a review when they're not happy. So you need to make sure that you're able to address that review in a professional way and show customer service. And if you don't address people in time, or you basically miss those reviews altogether, that can really fire back. Because if you look at any big brands, and if you look at any forums or those review platforms, they always reply. Now, some have got a full-time person looking after reputation, but a lot of the time for other businesses, it's not really possible. And this is where the automations really come in. So that's exactly the tools that work. And the cool thing is you can actually have AI also to maintain a conversation on your behalf too. Now, within HighLevel, there is a holding page. Now, this is one thing that a lot of people have been asking for a long time with many review platforms. But basically, if you're asking for a review, you want customers to leave a review on a neutral platform that is not connected to let's say Google reviews directly. And then from there, you're able to vet the ones that are not happy. So if, let's say, if someone leaves 3 stars or below, you basically want them to be able to submit some feedback as to why they're not happy, and for that not to go public, but actually be sent to your team. And if it's 4 or 5 stars, to go up to Google reviews, let's say, directly. So HighLevel's got that system, and that holding page does allow many businesses to prevent people from leaving negative reviews. And look, there's obviously a debate about people asking for reviews, and if you're going to ask everybody, you will cope quite a lot of negative reviews, purely because people who are not happy, they'll be a lot more vocal. And then obviously you can do all sorts of automations as well. If someone does leave you a positive review, then you can actually get them to potentially share that review elsewhere as well. And that's where the automation comes in. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but oftentimes you do get systems following you up and potentially even offering you rewards and stuff as well. Well, that's HighLevel like systems doing that. Another thing is oftentimes, I find in businesses, they say, hey, we've asked someone for a review, but we never got one. Well, HighLevel has got this requests monitored, and you can send out multiple requests, and then from there there'll be a history of them, and you can understand exactly if someone replied back or not. And then you can also set up automations to follow them up. So there's automations all the way. Now, this is what it looks like. This is one of our clients, MDS Dental. Reviews coming through, Facebook or Google, and you can see if someone's happy or not happy. And you've got this section here which says AI reply free. So that's actually ChatGPT. If you press that, it'll actually generate a reply for you. And if you're happy with it, you can just go reply. If you're not happy with it, you can regenerate it, or you could just basically type up your own response. Now, a little bit of a tip for you. If you're wanting to get organic local reviews, you want to make sure that the main keywords for which you want to come up for are actually used within your reviews and also your replies as well. So if you're doing dental implants in a particular suburb, having a few reviews with that keyword in there and a reply for it will actually help you rank. So if you can squeeze that through and make sure that you can actually get those to happen, you will get higher rankings. Now, some of you may say, hey, replying to reviews isn't one of those things that we can do. Well, you may want to watch a recording of one of our DPS series from last year with Carl Schwantes from 5-Star Reviews. He's actually gone through a great deal of legal advice in order to find the ground for managing reviews for dental practices. And he's got a reference and a guide specifically for that. So check it out. I'll add a link to that specific recording as well, in case you can't find it and you're watching the recording. But yeah, this is the reputation management, and it works like a charm. I recommend connecting all your platforms that you're monitoring. And look, it's a good idea to set up your profiles on platforms that are popular, because if you don't control that particular listing, you'll have difficulty replying to it and managing it all together. So reputation management is super important, especially if you're wanting to grow your business, or especially if you're wanting to go the extra mile with your business, covering multiple areas, or potentially looking to sell the business or turn into a franchise. So many different business avenues you can follow. Now, lastly, social media management. Now, this is one of those things that takes way too much time, in my opinion. And honestly, I'm not sure if the time is really worth it. However, depending on how you look at it, many businesses do look at your social media profiles in order to understand whether you actually manage the actual page, and to see if you guys are actually open. Because there's nothing worse than going to a social media platform to see that the last post has been done, in 2021 or something like that. Happens quite a lot. So the social media management as a part of HighLevel actually allows you to solve that problem. So you can actually pre-write a whole bunch of different messages and schedule them as well. There's a scheduling tool. So if you use something like Hootsuite as a tool, or there's a bunch of other ones as well, which cost you about $200 a month, you can actually have that as a part of the system. So you can also adapt the format, because your Google Business, your Instagram, and your Facebook, for example, have got different formats for each messages. You can actually adapt that as well automatically. And if you're not very good with writing content or images, your good old AI is right there to help you out there as well. So really cool, works really, really well. And this is what it looks like. So if you basically have got a couple of profiles, let's say Google My Business, which typically gets picked up once you set up your reputation management, and let's say your Facebook profile, you can actually start typing your content in here, whether it's going to be a post, story, or reel, up to you. But you can choose that customized for each channel, and the whole post will actually be modified as well. And then, yeah, if you type something into this box and you think, hey, it's a bit short, I'm not sure how to optimize it, you can use that content AI which will change it. And then for each of the different platforms, there may be additional buttons, like a call to action for Google My Business, which will allow people to like click things like register now for events, or learn more to visit a page, and so on as well. So you can really blast your content across all the platforms within one click of a button. And I find, look, you're going to spend, let's say, an hour setting this up, and you've got your content pre-planned for the next 3 months. All you really want is, I'd say, once a month post on, let's say, your key platforms like Google Business and Facebook. And if you mix them up, obviously you're going to get something coming out quite frequently. And there's nothing worse than seeing a Facebook page that's actually managed, and there's a ton of interesting content, but there's actually no replies. I'm sure you've seen this a lot, but no likes, no replies. And oftentimes like, well, why are we even doing this? Well, you need to make sure that your posts become more engaging. Look, and this is probably a whole other topic to discuss. But overall, you need a strategy. You need something that actually ties into your practice. If you're going to keep talking about offers and stuff, people don't like that. I think if you're going to have an offer and a bunch of follow-up series that are more relevant, hey, this is our key dentist, or this is our process, or here is potentially a common problem, or this is what's happening in the area. Like, you really want to make sure that you make this social. That's the biggest challenge. And at the same time, obviously, have your brand reflect that too. So whole other topic, but I guess this tool does save you a ton of time. Yeah, if you're a busy practice owner or a manager, I think you'll absolutely love this. So if you're looking to save time, HighLevel Social Media Manager is for you. Tailoring content, pretty easy. Pre-writing and scheduling content. And then you can also do automations as well. So if something is triggered or something's done a certain way, you can post it. If someone writes to you a certain way, or basically have something with a particular contact, someone left you a Google review, hey, you can set up an automation for that to go through social media. That's a bit of a tip there for you. And if you're looking for templates, it's got a whole bunch of different templates specifically for each industry as well. Now, be careful with content AI, but it does allow you to basically create a particular tone for your practice or your business, or if you basically want to just sound, let's say, more scientific or more industry specific, this AI tool can do that for you as well. Got to be very careful with AI. It's pretty good for what it does, but at the same time, it does require human input in order to keep it on track. So think about it as an assistant, as opposed to something that's actually going to replace something completely. So yeah, that brings us to questions, guys. I know we've covered a lot of different things. And look, like I said, today's objective was to really go over the key features in order to help you identify some of the gaps that you may be able to fill. But I'd be more than happy to answer any questions, guys. So let's open up the mics here. All right. How was that, Greg?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of that stuff already anyway, so I'm quite happy with what I'm doing. I don't know if I can go as far as committing to every month and that sort of stuff, but I'm not a big enough practice to have that going at the moment. So
okay, that's fair enough.
I think it was very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's a fairly new tool, and a lot of people don't know about it. But a lot of the time, it's almost like, well, why should you have your social media, posting every single week or every single month? Do you have time for something like that? And most practices don't have the time for it. So this is where that comes in. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Any other questions or feedback? Cool. Well, look, this specific session was really more about what's possible, and make sure that you don't forget to use that trial just to sort of check it out, to have a play with the system. If you need any help, or if you basically wish to ask any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm available myself, most of the time. And if you got any really specific questions, my team members in relation to web development so can help. The biggest issue that we find is the automations that people really want to set up. So if someone makes the inquiry, how do you handle that? If somebody is unable to respond in time, or starts ignoring your messages, how do you sort of automate that so you still utilize it? Because if you do paid advertising through Facebook or Google, typically you pay per click, or you pay per engagement. And then from there, each lead is costing you money. Well, you really need to make sure that lead comes to a certain point. If that person is inquiring about, let's say, general dentist services, they are in the market specifically for that. So they're going to end up choosing you or somebody else. And really, it's just at the mercy of your follow-up system and making sure that you can address that problem specifically, either from a problem of availability, affordability, convenience, service itself, or any other points as well. So every business is different, but at the end of the day, it's these recipes that you're really looking to automate. Anyway, well, look, I will make sure to put this up on our YouTube channel. If you got any further questions or if it's something that you'd like to review, I think the recording will definitely help you. My name is Alexei. My business is called Practice Results. Happy to help businesses like yours. And I look forward to speaking to you soon.